Welcome back to another episode of me tackling some bullshit. Today we have an article from Screenrant. Again, as always, do not contact the author of this article. Don't contact Screenrant. It's not worth it. First off, a lot of the times when you do that, you're giving people exactly what they want, free attention, and also a victim card. And two, come on, it's just not cool. It's not poggers. But apparently Batman Arkham's character designs have aged very poorly. This is something we're going to talk about. Now, when they say Batman Arkham's character designs, first off, I want to say it's like four that are covered in this article. But as somebody who also has taken some shots at some of the character designs in these games, and they are some of my favorite games, I figured, you know what? Let's give them a crack at it. Plus, I will give Screenrant one pass that CBR will never get from me, and that's that Screenrant has Ryan George, one of the funniest people on YouTube, who has his own channel and also does pitch meetings on Screenrant. So I'll give them that pass. That's all they're getting, though. But let's hop into it. If you enjoy what you see here, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content. I appreciate you very, very, very much. Now, the first one that they actually talk about in this article is Batman. They do say that his silhouette is unquestionably clear and obvious, but his proportions feel off. I've got to be honest, with this one, I don't really agree, but I do have my own criticisms of the Batman suits in Arkham, which I'll talk about in a minute. I will say I like all of them. I really do. The proportions being off part to me is very silly because it comes off like somebody who didn't play the game, especially when you realize that this suit is not spandex. This isn't just a tights suit designed for easy movement or flexibility. This is actually an armored suit. It has special armored plating and padding inside of it. Obviously, you're upgrading ballistic armor or melee damage armor throughout the game. So, of course, these are not all just muscular outlines of Bruce Wayne. They actually are padding. Also, these suits are all designed to make Batman look bigger and more menacing than he actually is, especially as he gets older, in order to make him more of a threatening presence. So I don't really think that this is exactly the best take. Also, it's weird to say that he's both overly muscular and slim, because there's a lot of people who fit that category. There are people who are very muscular but not hulking monsters. This is a real thing and a real body type in real life. They do talk about the thin underwear look feeling out of place, and this is where I will give them a little bit of agreement from me personally. I think that in modern day Batman stories, unless we're doing something like Dark Knight Returns, like we're talking older Batman, I have always really appreciated and preferred at this point the more New 52-ish look. I know that that's not the major sentiment, but where you're able to sort of push this look that kind of looks like the underwear look, or it at least stays true to the heart of that without putting those tights on the outside. I understand that it's designed after the look of classic wrestling and wrestlers and stuff like that, and I understand that it has its place. But for me personally, I do prefer the new look of something like Arkham Origins, so I do agree with that. However, it's also weird to say that Arkham Origins is the most plausible suit when Knight is very clearly tied with it. I mean, both of those were the latest suits that they designed in terms of Rocksteady and WB Games, not in the timeline, but they wanted those to look the most modern, so of course they were going to. Arkham Asylum and City were both more concerned with staying true to Paul Dini's version of the Batman the Animated Series characters in terms of their inspiration. Even though with City they obviously would branch off into completely their own continuity, they weren't really concerned with modernization of the looks. Now, moving on to the next one, this is where it completely falls apart for me, and I've noticed that most critiques of female designs from these press outlets completely fall through for me and make no sense. I don't find them to be logical criticisms, because their biggest critique with Catwoman's design is the male gaze. Now, immediately, there are certain terms that when people use them to me, I immediately tune out and think this person does not know what they're talking about. Male gaze is one of them. This is simultaneously the most anti-woman sentiment while pretending to be woke and feminist and enlightened that I've ever heard ever. Not to take this off on a complete tangent, but the entire argument of the male gaze essentially breaks down to women can't dress the way they want to because men might be looking at them. This almost breaks down to a very, very traditionalist Middle Eastern garb in a way. Now, if you have your religious beliefs, etc., that's fine, you do you. But the idea that pretty much every woman has to cover up every part of their body because a man might be looking at them, to me, comes off as very anti-woman. It always has, it always will. Plus, everybody dresses to impress. Bruce Wayne does not go to social gatherings dressed in a big monkey suit, looking like a clown, dressed up with his suit tie, his jacket, and his plaid pants, just killing it out there with probably a multi-$1,000 suit. Do you think he does that because he's comfy? Do you think he does that because he likes how that looks? Do you think he really cares? No, he dresses to impress. That's what everybody does. Everybody dresses simultaneously for themselves and for the people looking at them. But nobody talks about the female gaze when Chris Pratt takes his shirt off and his muscles gleam, or when Chris Evans does the same thing. There's quite a few Chris's that are able to take their shirts off and gleam, I'm going to be honest here. Or when Jensen Ackles shows off that beautiful tattoo in Supernatural. Nobody's talking about how this is written for the female gaze. They're just thinking, damn, that's a handsome man. And you know what real men are thinking during that? Wow, that's a handsome man. I should work out. That would be cool. I should strive for that. Nobody's thinking about objectification. So when we get to this immediately, the entire argument goes out the window for me because I find it juvenile and silly and anti-woman. But the idea essentially here is that it's unacceptable to point out glaring issues between how men and women are depicted in fiction, particularly when it comes to the sexualization of female game characters. And again, here's the thing. Everybody's sexualized. Everybody is. And if you don't want to be, man, you better wear a burqa and really cover up. So I guess at the end of the day, it comes down to what's wrong with a woman showing off her body, or a man, or anybody. We're not prudish pilgrims making our way over here and burning people at the stake as a witch for showing a little bit of cleavage. I've never understood this. Also, it goes on to talk about how there's, how she has long legs, delicate arms, and hands. Which again, look, I don't mean to be Captain Progressive here, okay? I'm not gonna raise my shield and chuck it at Screenrant here, but isn't this just body shaming? I know this isn't a real person, but the argument is essentially supposed to be an enlightened one, but it's like this woman is showing off too much of her body and her body is wrong. That doesn't seem very logical to me. They also do talk about how she shows too much cleavage, which, by the way, they did zip it up a little bit more in Night anyways, so if you really want to have an argument here, you probably have to actually acknowledge that a little bit more. But they fail to understand who Catwoman is. They also talk about how, even though Catwoman does use sex appeal as a tool, her actual power comes from wit and physical prowess. Well, maybe it's both. What's wrong with that? I just don't really see the point of this argument. This one falls even flatter than Batman, because at least Batman, I see where they're coming from. This one just seems like it's pulling things out of our ass to complain. When we move on to Harley Quinn, it's the exact same thing. The male gaze is mentioned immediately within the first sentence of this, and I've noticed this with female characters in general. It's basically if a girl is sexy or hot in any way, she looks at all presentable and not like a nun, the male gaze is a problem, because how dare a woman look good? I never understood this. This isn't something that you hear from male characters. Like I said before, nobody talks about it. Nobody says, oh no, the female gaze. Oh no, Nathan Drake looks too good in Uncharted 4. How dare this man look this good? Guys are like, hey, I kind of want to look like Nathan Drake. Hey, when I get a haircut, I'm gonna reference that. I'm gonna bring Uncharted 4, and they're gonna do my hair like that. No, they're never butthurt about it. And I've noticed that both men and women are angry for some reason, at least certain ones that have mental problems, when women look good. I'm going to go out on a limb here and be a bit of a dick. I think when it's men, a lot of the times it's because they want to get laid, so they want to make other women think they're super progressive by calling this shit out. And I think a lot of times for women, it's because they're jealous of some fictional or real woman's body, wish they were like that, and they don't want to put in the work to be like that. Men, at least if they have a beer gut like me, they'll admit, like, damn, Jensen Ackles is good looking, and I should hit the gym to do that, but cookies are good. They don't just get mad at Jensen Ackles because he's a damn specimen of an angelic man. I'm starting to question things about myself during this video, but let's move on. Let's move past Harley Quinn to the very last one, which is Nightwing. This one makes no sense to me. I mean, Nightwing is such a simplistic design in both City and Night. I can't imagine anything actually aged poorly about him, but they talk about how his longer limbs, toned physique, and simple suit all feel right at home for an acrobat and former Robin. We're both on the same page here. I agree completely. They do say, though, that the City design looks dated compared to Arkham Knight's. Part of that also is what City's graphics actually look like, by the way. And the Gotham Knights Nightwing is completely different from both, but Gotham Knights is its own continuity, so I don't even know why we're bringing that up. Like Batman, his Arkham City suit is skin tight and somehow accentuates every muscle in his body. He also has the DMC emo Dante look going on. That's actually kind of funny. I agree with that a little bit. He does have long bangs. If I had any criticism of Nightwing, I suppose, from City, and they don't even really talk about this, they just used it as a meme, but I would say straight up that he looks good, but I don't think as a superhero you'd want your hair bangs that long because they could get in your eyes. So when you're constantly being shot at or having people throwing or thrusting knives at you, or maybe just thrusting at you because you're a handsome man, you don't want these bangs getting into your eyes where it's getting hard to actually see those incoming projectiles or hits or anything like that. If we want to go there and talk realism, by the way, we're also talking about a game series where a maniacal clown is dying of a blood disease that's inflicted by using drugs, and he then gives it to a man who dresses up like a bat to fight crime at night. If we want to talk realism, though, in this, I understand that critique, but they don't even go there. They then talk about how Nightwing's design in Arkham Knight is a higher tech and different, and they added a utility belt and plating and all this stuff, and somehow that makes Arkham City's look more dated. But what's weird about this is they keep bringing up Gotham Knights, the Gotham Knights design. The only reason this design looks so dated is simply due to Gotham Knights choosing a look that's more plausible. Nightwing's design in Gotham Knights is the perfect blend of Batman's suit in Origins and Harley Quinn's practicality in Kill the Justice League. But maybe I'm wrong. I'm not trying to read completely into what this person is saying, but it comes off to me like this person thinks, like the writer of this thinks, that Gotham Knights is in the same continuity as the Arkham games. It's not. That's been stated like 100 times now. This is a problem. Like, look, I make my own mistakes, okay? But this is a big problem I have with, like, the journalism school of stuff in video games, is a lot of these people, not all, but a lot of them have journalistic degrees. They go to school, they learn how to write, they learn how to research. Then you have idiots like me, okay? I have like an English degree. I don't know jack shit about writing journalism, and I can do better research than a lot of these people can. So that's the only reason that this kind of annoys me, is because if this is what they actually think, this is such a glaring mistake to make that could have been solved with one Google search for 2 minutes, that I don't really understand. I guess at the end of the day, this whole thing kind of comes off to me like somebody who didn't play the games. I don't know. I don't typically look through these people's past writing choices and stuff, and I try not to even draw a ton of attention to the author of these articles themselves, because I've noticed that when I do, there's a select group of individuals who takes it upon themselves to launch a crusade against some person who probably doesn't actually give a shit about any of this. They're just writing to make some money, and good for them. Nice hustle. I get it. And they go after them, and then that person throws out the victim card and says that everybody attacked them. Then they get a ton of sympathy from their gaming journalist buddies. Then they all get in a big circle jerk together and talk about how mean and bad big bad gamers are. I don't really appreciate that. I've never seen a point to it. It does nothing constructive from any end. It isolates these people into more of an echo chamber on their own, and it doesn't make you feel good to be a dick to them at the end of the day. At least it doesn't for me. Bad takes like this, I think they deserve to be laughed at, disproven, and then you move on to the next one. I know that that doesn't earn me any friends in the gaming journalism sphere or whatever, but that sphere is dying regardless, so I don't care. And secondly, I also think that the good gaming journalists are the people who do their research and, knock it out of the park. You can't really just react to their articles and shoot them down very easily anyway. I don't have a big problem with Screenrant as an outlet. I don't even have a problem with CBR, despite the meme that I do. But when it comes down to stuff like this, I just find a lot of it almost clickbaity to try to get a reaction out of people and try to get videos like this made. And because of that, I have actually created an archive link of this article. So if you do click on this in the description down below and go look at it, it is archived on the Wayback Machine. I don't believe in giving people clicks and free advertisement just for trying to outrage bait, if that's what it is. And if you don't think that's what it is, a simple Google search can take you right there and you can give them all the ad revenue you'd like. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you agree with these takes? Do you not? What do you think about my takes on them? Do you think that women should bundle up in massive, massive overcoats? I personally think that if you are a woman and you are not dressed like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, like I'm talking no skin exposed at all, I'm going to be angry and I'm going to write an article about it. But I do want to know what you think. Let me know it in the comments down below. Please be sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed this. Have a fantastic day, everyone. And as always, stay shway. And like I said before, check out Ryan George. Shitting on Screen Rant aside for this article, he's super duper funny, makes very awesome stuff, and he's very cool. And watch those pitch meetings. They're great. See ya.